So, good morning, everyone. Uh, first of all, I would like to welcome all of you to this new semester, that is semester 3 of your undergraduate program. By now, you must be very well acquainted uh, with the virtual learning, how it kind of is to be utilized. Before March 2020, we had no idea as to how uh, virtual platform could be used for mass teaching, but this pandemic situation has changed the scenario of teaching and learning altogether. And you know that during this pandemic time of about 15 months, people around the world have used virtual platforms like Zoom, um, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, and other um, virtual platforms. So it has kind of uh, given a set of challenges to the teachers as well as learners, because uh, it's altogether different when it comes to interacting with students in a classroom. And when we think of an online lecture, it's totally different, because you don't get to see the students, and even the students have a kind of a very limited access to the kind of um, the learning environment, because if you are sitting in the classroom, then um, other students, your peers, could ask questions to the teacher, and that kind of interaction would benefit you in kind of um, getting more clarity about different concepts. But unfortunately, uh, we are not in position to meet in person, to engage offline lectures. So we have to accept the fact, and we have to uh, make use of whatever time is available to us. So uh, you must be aware of the fact that the textbook that has been prescribed for your English compulsory uh, paper is Prelude. It's kind of collection of articles, short stories, and things like that. So in your semester 3, you have to study 5 lessons from the textbook, and there are some topics recommended for grammar and composition. We'll talk about that in lectures that we'll have in future. But when we talk about the textual portion, then we have lessons uh, from prose section. We have 4 uh, lessons, and from poetry we have 1. From prose, the first one is The Homecoming. It's a story by Rabindranath Tagore. It's a wonderful, touching story. Second one is Playing the English Gentleman by none other than M.K. Gandhi. Third one is an article on a great personality called Ratan Tata. Ratan Tata can be considered as a living legend because Ratan Tata has made tremendous contribution to the field of business in India. So that is the lesson that we'll take up for discussion. And then there is another great personality called Indra Nooyi, a corporate giant. Some of you may not be aware of this person, Indra Nooyi. Then let me tell you, Indra Nooyi was chairperson of a big corporate called PepsiCo, a very famous company engaged in the area of food and beverages. They have products like Lay's, Pepsi, Quaker Oats, and even Tropicana. These are some of the brands that they have. But then Pepsi is one of the world's leading companies of food and beverages. When we talk about two giant multinational companies having maximum market share in the field of food and beverages, then the companies are PepsiCo and Coca-Cola. They are kind of their arch rivals. They are always in kind of competition with each other. So that is lesson, an article on Indra Nooyi. And then you have one poem by Kamala Das. The title of the poem is My Grandmother's House. Now, I have been assigned lesson number 3 and 4, so I'll take up lesson number 3, that is Ratan Tata, and lesson number 4, that is Indra Nooyi, a corporate giant. Before we actually start the lesson, let me tell you something about the scenario that was there before independence and after independence of India. If you look at that period before independence, India did not have big companies. India did not have the technical know-how to manufacture items, especially like steel, because steel is considered as a very important material for infrastructure. If you want to build bridges, if you want to build big dams, if you want to construct big buildings, you need steel. So steel is used everywhere, in furniture, in building, in bridges. So steel is an important aspect of infrastructure development. Now, before we got our independence, there was a person, Jamshedji Tata. So Jamshedji Tata had a vision that he would establish a steel manufacturing company in India. but it was not an easy job because India did not have technical knowledge to manufacture steel. So he must have approached some companies and some owners of companies of big steel companies in the UK, in England, but they did not consider Jamshedji Tata's vision seriously. On the contrary, they kind of made fun of him. And then Jamshedji Tata, he decided that he would establish a steel manufacturing company in India, and that was the beginning of kind of uh, that was the beginning of a big chapter in the history of Indian business, because that thing revolutionized the whole scenario of business in India. Um, that company started manufacturing steel in Jamshedpur. So Jamshedpur has been named after the person Jamshedji Tata. But that Jamshedpur had the first steel manufacturing plant of Tata Steel, and Tata Steel is uh, a leading manufacturer of steel in India even today. Then uh, the company had other businesses that they entered into. Uh, Tata became a kind of uh, big corporate, having its presence in different areas like Tata Steel. Then they started manufacturing vehicles. Initially, it was trucks, because trucks are very important for transporting goods from one place to another. So in that period, we only had two companies that were engaged in manufacturing of trucks. One was Ashok Leyland and another was Tata. Even the buses, they were generally from these two companies, either Ashok Leyland or Tata. So um, that was the beginning of Tata Motors, and then they also entered into manufacturing of passenger cars. They started with um, brand like Tata Indica, and then they had some premium version cars like Tata Safari. Um, and today, Tata is considered as a very prominent brand um, manufacturing cars in India. Not only in India, but Tata group of companies is kind of very popular worldwide, because today Tata owns majority stake in brands like Land Rover and Jaguar. These are two very famous international brands of cars, and they are kind of owned by Tata group of companies. So uh, Ratan Tata um, gave a kind of facelift to Tata group of companies, because before Ratan Tata took over as the chairman of Tata group of companies, uh, Tata, the name of Tata was not very popular outside India. If somebody would uh, talk about Tata, um, very few people outside India would know about that name. But today, Tata is a very popular name in the field of business worldwide. And credit goes to this person called Ratan Tata, because Ratan Tata, he uh, has strategized in such a way that the company has got its international recognition. So this essay recounts the life and accomplishments of Ratan Tata, the famous industrialist and philanthropist. Ratan Tata is not just an industrialist, but he is also known as a philanthropist, જેને આપણે એક પ્રકારના સમાજ સેવક કહીએ. અને સમાજ સેવક પણ એવા કે જે ખૂબ મોટા દાનવીર છે, because he donates to many kind of causes, be it something like this COVID pandemic. Ratan Tata, he was born in 1937, and he was the adoptive grandson of Tata Group founder Jamshedji Tata. So actually he was not the real son of the founder. His father was Naval Tata. So Ratan Tata's father was Naval Tata. He had been adopted by Jamshedji's childless younger son, also named Ratan, and his wife Nawabji. So Jamshedji's son, his name was Ratan, and his wife's name was Nawabji. They did not have a child of their own, so they decided to adopt Ratan, who was the son of Naval Tata. So that's how Ratan Tata got associated with the family of the Tata Group of company. Now let's look at some of the highlights of his career, of his life. Ratan Tata, he had schooling at Campion School, Bombay, and Bishop Cotton School, Shimla. While he was in school, he was very much afraid of speaking in public, so he was not a very good public speaker. And even today, if you look at his personality, he would look very, very kind of soft-spoken. He would not speak much. So he kind of has got that personality. He was not much involved in extracurricular activities. So during his school days, he was not much into extracurricular activities like sports and all that. He completed his BS in architecture with structural engineering from Cornell University in 1962. So he went to the US to pursue his Bachelor of Science in Architecture with structural engineering from a leading university in the US, that is Cornell University. So we need to understand that which factors shaped his personality. And then in 1975, he did his advanced management program from Harvard Business School. So it was a very, very important milestone in his career, because Harvard Business School is considered as an elite business school. It's kind of a dream of people to study in Harvard Business School. So Ratan Tata, he did his advanced management program from Harvard Business School, and then he returned to India and joined Telco. Um, Telco was kind of um, engineering and a locomotive company. They were into the business of manufacturing engines for Indian Railways, and that was kind of the main focus. Then later on, he was shifted to Tisco. That was a steel manufacturing company in Jamshedpur. Uh, Ratan Tata, he learned technical aspects of the company's products and the corporate values of the Tata Group. So it was very important that he should learn the ethics, the values that are part of Tata Group of companies. Because as I said earlier, um, Tata Group of companies is known for its values. There are many big companies in the world, but when we talk about the values, very few companies would kind of uh, would kind of get that attention, because uh, most of the time big companies, they kind of compromise with values, and they want to maximize their profits. But Tata Group of companies has always been kind of um, the company that gives a lot of importance to values. There is another important company which is part of Tata Group of companies, and that is TCS, Tata Consultancy Service. So these are the companies like Tata Steel, then TCS. We also have a company like Tata Chemicals. They are into manufacturing of chemicals for industrial use. So these are the companies that Tata Group of companies has in its fold. Uh, in 1968, Ratan Tata was shifted to Bombay. He was given charge of two Sikh companies, uh, Nelco and Central India Textiles. He managed a turnaround in both companies. So, to test his ability, he was given two companies that were kind of not making any profit. On the contrary, they were loss-making units. So one was Nelco, um, and another was Central India Textiles Company. And Ratan Tata, in a very short span, he made a turnaround in both the companies. And then in 1981, he was made chairman of Tata Industries. He took over from J.R.D. Tata. J.R.D. Tata was his predecessor in Tata Group of companies as the chairman. In the beginning, people had apprehensions about his being successful as chairman of Tata Industries. When Ratan Tata took over as the chairman of Tata Group of companies, the investors and experts from the field of business, they were kind of um, not very sure as to whether Ratan Tata would be successful in uh, making a mark in the field of business. But then all these apprehensions proved to be wrong, and Ratan Tata, he uh, managed um, to bring this group of companies to the limelight. So um, Ratan Tata had a very tough time in the beginning of his career. Ratan Tata's mother was diagnosed with terminal cancer. His mother was not keeping good health, so he kind of used to take care of his mother, and also he would manage the affairs of the company simultaneously. Ratan Tata made up his mind to convert the Tata Group into a highly competitive and diversified group of companies. Before Ratan Tata took over as the chairman, the company was kind of being managed in a very traditional, in a very conservative manner. They were, I mean, the board of directors were kind of um, uh, they were known for their traditional outlook. They would always think of the conventional ways of doing business. But then Ratan Tata, he thought that they would have to go in for diversification, and they would also um, have they would be required to have competition in the field, because otherwise then it makes no sense to have your presence in the particular field. In 1983, Ratan Tata, he kind of came out with a strategic plan um, to give a turnaround to the company. And then Tata Group started diversifying into the field of telecommunication, software, biotechnology, etc. So um, before that, Tata Group of companies was into steel and all that business. But then Ratan Tata thought that it was high time to go in for diversification. So Tata Group entered into the field of telecommunication, Tata Telecom. They also entered into the field of software, as I said, TCS, Tata Consultancy Service, and they also entered into the field of biotechnology. So these were some of the areas that Ratan Tata kind of earmarked for diversification. He created an intense culture of competitiveness within the Tata Group, and the first thing that he did was kind of he replaced old executives that were not just old in terms of age, but who were rather traditional, and they were kind of averse to new ideas, with people who were ready to kind of going for competition. And that was very crucial, because that thing gave a new identity to Tata Group of companies. So he created an environment of competition in Tata Group of companies, which was otherwise very uh, traditional in its outlook. Um, and then in 1991, J.R.D. Tata um, handed over reins of Tata Group of companies to Ratan Tata. He was criticized for lack of experience in running a company at the scale of Tata Industries. As I said earlier, when J.R.D. Tata he handed over the reins of Tata Group of companies to Ratan Tata, people thought that how would an inexperienced person like Ratan Tata would handle such a giant company like Tata, a group of companies like Tata. But then he proved all other critics wrong, and he kind of helped the company uh, make its mark in the field of business. Under Ratan Tata's leadership, Tata Tea acquired Tetley. Tetley was an international brand. So Ratan Tata, he kind of acquired international brand Tetley. Tata Motors acquired Jaguar, Land Rover, and in 2008 Tata still acquired Chorus. So these were some of the milestones from the career of Ratan Tata. So Ratan Tata's chairmanship um, was widely accepted by business community and within the Tata Group. So in the next lecture we'll look at some of the other aspects of Ratan Tata's career. Till then, um, I say kind of goodbye.